Good day to you, it's Cap Jack. The other night we had the distinct pleasure, and I say we, I mean everybody who is a sports fan, especially fans of the Las Vegas Raiders, Oakland Raiders, uh, had the chance to hear from one of our favorite people. That's Lincoln Kennedy. And I guarantee you that if you missed it on that night and you want to see it again, I'm going to be able to bring it to you because unfortunately it didn't record on my StreamYard. So let's just make sure that this time we have the recording ready for you. So without further ado, here's our friend, the great Lincoln.
All right, a little bit of a not my usual musical interlude there, Lincoln, but I told you that. Wrong studio. Normally have a very kick-ass version of The Autumn Wind by my buddy Fast Eddie Rice, but wrong studio, but you make use of what you got going. I'm getting to it. It was only 90 seconds, folks, but I wanted to get some people in here. I am very, very happy to introduce to you, you know, the old expression, somebody who needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. But I'm going to do the introduction as by saying a very good friend of mine that I find it very heartwarming to say is a personal friend of mine, not just some dude that, you know, hang out with, although we do hang out when we can, but Raider great Lincoln Kennedy. Lincoln, thank you for being here, sir. It's always wonderful to be here. I hope all of the other people will be here because I said I gave the promo. I said, hey, be there 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific to be with Lincoln Kennedy. Get your questions ready. And if you don't have them ready, then shame on you. So
Captain, how you doing, man? How you doing?
Sir, I don't want to get into my health because it sucks, but I'm just saying.
Come on now, positive. We got to stay positive. It's all good.
I can positively say that my knees are all effed up. That's what I can positively say. So,
well, that makes two of us.
Yes, sir. But do you have surgeries on the horizon?
No, I was blessed, and I'm hoping that my health can translate to my kids. But they've been bitten by the injury bug playing the game. But no, I was blessed. I didn't have any knee surgeries, and I still have yet to break the seal on that, other than a scope and a little what a vacuum cleaner can do, and that was it, clearing out cartilage. But no, knees are still same. Haven't had them replaced yet. Haven't had any lower extremities replaced, but I think I'm probably headed there sooner than later.
Well, I'm letting you know because my regular viewers know this. I'm heading that way. I'm bone on both knees.
Ouch.
And I wear those little things, the knee wraps with the bends in them, like offensive linemen wear. So I'm already there. And you know the bow-legged, and then I have arthritis in the feet. So again, enough of my crappy health. I'm just glad that yours is fine because first off, I'd like to say we need you, and I say the royal we need you to be the face, the spontaneity of Raider fans everywhere because we love that about you. I know I love that about you. And I want to say again, thank you for being here. I'm going to try to get through. And again, if I miss a question that we're going to have for Lincoln, just remember to save it. If I don't get out for you, that I want people to know. For those who don't know, because there are some people that don't know, give us a little bit of what makes up Lincoln Kennedy. You know, your early childhood, your college. I know you went to University of Washington. I know you were in San Diego. Was it Helix or was it some other high school?
No, Morris High School. No. Yeah, I went to Morris High School. Guys like Reggie Bush and other guys went to Helix. But yeah, I grew up in San Diego, middle class working family, single mother, and she raised 4 kids. And I'm the eldest, 2 sisters and 1 brother younger than me. And so, coming up, went to University of Washington, graduated, and came into the league in '93. Originally drafted by the Falcons, played 3 years there, and then got traded over to the Raiders, thank God. And it was indoctrinated into the Raider Nation for life from that point on. So finished my career in the silver and black, and more proud to this day to be affiliated with the organization almost 3 decades later.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the promo picture for the. Okay, well, look, I got a picture of you holding the trophy.
Oh, the Lamar Hunt trophy.
The one that you wanted, the one that you wanted to hoist.
Easy for you to say.
Right, new tongue. I get that. I get an operation on that pretty soon too. The one that you wanted to hoist wasn't quite there.
Right,
and we'll
right.
get to that. But I would say your proudest moment that I remember is you hosting the Lamar Hunt Trophy, and I got a picture of you hosting Lamar Hunt Trophy with a recent picture of you. So I had that over the top with a very ugly picture of me. So that'll be the cover for this. So again, and Raiders Rebel, I agree with that. We wouldn't be the same without you, and that's for sure.
Thank you.
So I want to know, as an offensive lineman, granted, I am obviously not as heralded as you, but I am an offensive lineman.
Yes.
Okay. People want to know, what are we looking like? And again, I know it's early.
Mm-hmm.
What are we looking like along the offensive line? And I'll throw something else out at you. We drafted 2 nice picks in, I think, the 3rd round, back to back, 98 and 99. Right. By the way, if you weren't watching the draft when those picks came out, you saw this big ugly mug right at you in that face for pick 98 and 99. So we've addressed O-line with a tackle and a guard.
Yes.
We have, the picks that we had last year with Jackson Powers Johnson and Glaze at right tackle. We have had some picks. There, a couple years ago, we have a Parham, we have Munford. So we've addressed it like the last 3 years running. And of course, we have the rock steady Colton Miller at left tackle. But it is a question mark. So where do you foresee the offensive line this year, to include the addition of Alex Kappa, which is a reliable guard from his days with Tampa Bay? I know his years with the Bengals kind of sucked, according if you look at PFF numbers, but I ain't really go for that. But where do you envision the offensive line this year? Because that's my big question to you, sir.
Well, look, the level of uncertainty remains because Colton Miller is still in a contract situation that has to be figured out, ironed out. But for what it's worth, the line is looking solid. My greatest concern about the offensive line going into the season is the fact that there's not a whole lot of depth. So if one of the guys go down, it's going to be thin pickings. Jordan Meredith has come on pretty strong. I'm impressed by his play. Dylan Parham, we've got to find a way to keep him healthy. You talked about Kappa. There's a steady possible swing guard if you need, or possibly a starter, depending on how Meredith and Kappa battle out in camp. I do like the development of DJ Glaze. I do like, I like for what it's worth, the offensive line, as I said, is still coming together. It's still a work in progress. Now I only saw them in OTAs. And this is glorified practice, shells. They're in jerseys and helmets. So you can't really get a fix in on how these guys are. But as I said before, Captain, my biggest concern about the offensive line as we go into camp and to start the season is depth. It's really thin. There's not a whole lot of bodies over there. So if guys go down And generally what coaches tend to do, and I don't know what Pete Carroll's technique has been in the past. We'll have to wait and see and how they practice. But generally going into camp, you'll bring in extra bodies so you have that buffer that you can bounce off of. You can still get good practices on and get tryhards, but you still have to play the question of how much depth they are, and they're thin at the offensive line.
And you kind of led into my definitely great segue, led into my next question, is that Pete Carroll's son is the new offensive line coach.
Mm-hmm.
So what type of scheme does he run, and how well will that translate to the guys that we have that are on the roster right now?
Well, to be clear, when it comes to scheme, an offensive line coach typically doesn't develop the scheme. Offensive coordinator does. In this case, it would be Chip Kelly. So what scheme does Chip Kelly want as far as play-wise, where they're going to go? Now, I will say this, in the small number of practices I've seen so far in OTA, I've seen a good dose as far as pass blocking. I've seen a good dose of man blocking, solid full protection, slide blocking. I've seen, and in the run game, I've seen zone plays. I've seen man plays, blocking plays. So I've seen a wide variety, a big mix of all of those. I don't really know, as you know, if you ever cook and they say you throw the spaghetti against the refrigerator to see what sticks and know if it's done. I don't know what's going to stick right now because I don't know where going forward, but I have seen a wide variety. And also that plays into the backfield with the backs that we have. Different style of running styles, different strokes for different folks. So I've seen a multitude of things. I don't know which one they're going to develop on. It's still too early. And until we get these guys in pads, until we get these guys going, it's still too early. And even after that, when training camp starts, Cap, I don't know how Pete Carroll has done it in the past as far as preseason. Does he play his guys, or does he do like coaches have done over the last couple of years with the Raiders, mix and match these different combinations, which does, in my opinion, does not build cohesiveness, does not build continuity. So I'm hoping that they don't do that. But there's still a lot of wait and see that we have to go off.
And again, I would say, and I did hear you on the show that you were on last week, and I agree with you. Best 5 out there, and keep them out there for as long as you can, so that and I'm putting I'm quoting you, sir. So you tell me if this is a quote. You need to know the guy next to you and the guy 2 down from you. So if you're playing your position right tackle, you want to know what your right guard does. You want to know what the center does, and all the way around the line. You need to know how they react to certain situations without even thinking about it. And that's in the slow process of practice, so that when it's game time and it's game hits, where everybody's going to be going during a certain play.
That's absolutely right. And here's the thing, for a little lesson at home for the people who don't necessarily follow the offensive line and say as intricately as you and I do. The center typically comes up to the line of scrimmage. When he puts his hand on the ball, he's going to announce the priority of the protection. What that means is, because you have 5 offensive linemen, you're supposed to be responsible for 4 bigs and probably 1 linebacker, depending on the type of play and depending on where maybe the quarterback might override. So you designate the 5 most dangerous guys that you see. With that being said, that resonates, that echoes outward from the center out to the guards to the tackles. There are going to come a lot of times where you don't have the luxury of having that communication as easy and as fair to where you can hear it. So then that's the nonverbal communication when it comes in. Okay, JBJ is pointing over to the left. He's going over to the left linebacker or whatever, however you want to differentiate it. But those are the type of communications that you have to get to know. And the only way you can do that is by playing together. You got to play together. And you can't duplicate game speed in practice. So the sense of urgency it goes as follows. You're in a huddle. You got a certain amount of time. You got to get out of the huddle and get to the line of scrimmage. You get to the line of scrimmage. You find your assignment based on what the center has. More times than not, the tackles are blocking the ends. Sometimes it'll change. You block someone out. That's because the protection is probably sliding to you. But more times than not, you're blocking the end, the man that's over you or the man that's in the closest region to you, unless otherwise designated. Then you have to worry about the snap count. Then you have to go out and execute. So that's sort of the timing. The less communication you have in that circle, the better off you are. That's when the nonverbal communication comes in. That's when knowing what your guard, your center, your left guard, your left tackle is doing, that's when it all comes into play for you and makes you a more effective player. Because the thing is, and Captain, when you're out there in the football field, the less thinking you do, the better off you are. I don't want you to think. I want you to react. I want it to be muscle memory. I want it to be form. I want it to become habit. That's what you want when you're playing the game.
Okay, great. And again, I speaking words with, because again, the smartest people on the team are the offensive linemen.
True story.
That is true. I don't want anybody to say otherwise, because I know, and you know, and again, yes, I'm blowing us up because, you know, that is true. You got to know what the hell's going on. You got to know all the plays. You got to know all the coverages. You need to know the offshoot of what people do. And the defenders are primarily reactionary people.
See ball, get ball.
Yep, the reactionary and the O-line is where it runs. And the O-line is going to get better and better as we go on. I'm gonna throw this one up by my, and I don't have an official show until Matt Marinovich comes in here, because when Matt Marinovich comes in here, and then there's another guy, Jimmy Furpo, stops by, says Raiders. So that's an official show. Those two guys, when they're in here, it's an official show. And Matt Marinovich had got a really great question for me. Okay, with the drafting of Rodgers and Grant, where do you see? Obviously, they're not going to be starting unless, God forbid, something bad happens.
Right.
But where do you envision them to etching, in the future? Where do you foresee them going?
Right now, I position both of those guys as backups. Okay, solid backups that you can probably rely on, that are more than likely, because where the position where they're drafted and the overall need, they're going to be on the team. There's a lot of times when you get past the first and second rounds, there's a question mark, because usually the first, second, and third round picks are secure when they've been drafted. If your scouting department actually did its job, you should not be drafting guys that high and releasing them, and unless there's other situations. So I do think they can develop into backups. However, I also think it's a necessity, because you need depth, as I said earlier. You got to have depth. So that's where those young guys will come in. It's still too early to tell how they're going to play. I only saw a handful of practices during the OTA. And during those practices, they really didn't get a lot of playing time. It was a lot of shuffling and a lot of things going on. So I'll see more once I go and see training camp. And once we get into these preseason games, once we figure out how Pete Carroll's going to manage it and all that other stuff, we'll be able to see more and have a better assessment. It's really early. And I'm not trying to avoid the question, Matt. I'm just saying that there are things that we still have not to see. Look pretty good on paper, but paper doesn't win football games. So I don't go off of paper. I'm an eye man. I need to see you play. I need to see you adjust to this game and this speed. I think they'll be good. I'm projecting and I'm hoping they'll be good for the betterment of the organization, but there's still a lot to be determined.
Actually, Raider Transplant Angela, who's one of my cohorts in crime, when I can't do a show, he pops in the studio and does one for me. And he along the same lines, do you foresee possibly Thayer Mumford sliding into one of the guard spots as one of the other people that can, because you got Kappa, you got Parham, you got Meredith. Do you foresee possibly Mumford sliding in and being one of those people too, possibly?
Possibly. And the reason why I say the reason why I'm a little reluctant to say yes, that it's a definitive. Right now, Thayer Mumford is that swing tackle. Right. So if Colton or DJ's not there available, that's Thayer Mumford's position. Now, based on the contract situation with Colton, if Colton doesn't sign early, then Thayer are probably going to be the starting left tackle. So you can't use him at left guard, you know what I mean? Or you can't use him at guard. What's more difficult when you try to quantify a starting five, as I've said before, and you make sure these guys are capable of playing in this league and this level on a consistent basis, to where you can protect your quarterback and protect your more valuable assets back there. You got to see these guys play. You got to see them come out. And the difference, just in layman's terms, the difference between guard and tackle in the league is that guards and centers play in what I consider a phone booth. You got a real tight space. You battle in a phone booth. So everything's constricted. Very rarely do you get outside that space. Tackles have to play in space. Tackles are responsible for the width of the pocket. We extend the pocket out wider from where the center snaps the ball. Guards and centers they protect the interior part, the security of the pocket, the cup. You want to try to form a cup around your quarterback and protect all angles of that cup. So tackles deal with space, guards and centers deal with space in different ways. And that's a little change of the mindset. When I first started in the league, I started at left guard. I came in the league as a tackle, but when I first started in Atlanta, I was a left guard. I played, a year and a half there at left guard. It's a different animal altogether for tackles. So it's a different mentality. So DJ Glaze has right now did a great job last year securing that right tackle spot. Finally, putting a seal on that side. Thayer Mumford is that swing tackle. Don't use him up at guard or get him hurt to where you don't have a swing tackle. If one of your other guys go down and you're forced to put a young guy in there.
Okay, and I can dig that. And since we're talking about swing tackles, the other kind of question that we have is that I think, and again, I'm biased because I'm a Raiders fan, I think that we have a top two tight end tandem. I know that's kind of that's a tongue twister when you put it there. A top two tight end tandem with Bowers and Mayer. And Mayer was dealing with some personal issues last year, which he's overcome. And people were just crowing and wrongly so to get rid of him. And I said, this kid was a first round type draft pick who slipped to the second round, kind of like JPJ was a first round type draft pick that slipped to the second round. And we were fortunate enough to get him in the second round. How often do you think that Chip Kelly might employ two tight ends? And I think it would be a godsend to employ two tight ends, because then you can open up the field, obviously, for the running game as well, and the short pass to Bowers, and then Mayer can block as well as receive, because Bowers is going to be double teamed. So you got all of those things looked at that can be beneficial to the Raiders. And oh, by the way, when was the last time, honestly, that you saw the Raiders do a Al Davis on the first play from scrimmage, throw a 9 to like maybe a Tucker or DeAndre Thornton, just to show people it's there? I mean, I would love to see that. Again, I'm old, to say, hey, we can do this, whether we connect or not. It shows people that we can stretch the field, and that stretching the field opens up the running game, opens up the middle of the field for the wide receivers cutting across and things like that. I'd like to see that. So if you get a hold of Chip Kelly, said, hey, there's an old dude that knows old Raider football that would like for you to run an Al Davis 9 pattern on the first play from scrimmage at least a couple times this year, just to show people that they can do it.
Okay, you've asked in my estimation, a complex question, because there are multifaceted parts of that. You want to bring two tight ends in, which means you're bringing everybody in the box. You're constricting the box, but yet you want to go up top. That means you're saying that you've got a receiver that can break one-on-one coverage and get open on the second level. Do we have that deep threat? Have we discovered that deep threat yet? I don't know. We drafted some young receivers. We've got some speed out there, but can they get open? Can they get open on the level? Do you have enough time now from it, especially after Devontae Adams quit? You didn't have enough time. You didn't have enough time. It wasn't a clean pocket. It didn't matter who you had back there at quarterback. If you're fighting to get rid of the ball to save your life, or you're on your backside, it doesn't matter who's out there running. You see what I'm saying? So whether it's Trey Tucker or whether it's one of these other young receivers, anybody coming along, has yet to be seen, because they have to initially get open and be able to create separation. That's to the deep ball. That's to your 9 ball. Though I think everybody would like to see the Mad Bomber, resurrect and come back, in the form of a Raider uniform. It's not there yet. Now, your first question was the possibility of 12 2 tight end, 13 3 tight end personnel. You can get there. But keep it in mind, you're going to condense the box. You bring in 2 backs, so you're going to only have a 1 back set. You're going to bring in more people in the box. In the past, the Raiders haven't had a consistently capable blocking tight end. Therefore, the stretch plays, the outside plays, just didn't work. Just didn't work as well. You had to run between the tackles. Again, I just said you're bringing more people in the box. So that becomes almost like, well, don't do that because you're going to hit your head on the wall. You're not getting anywhere, you know. And the Raiders in the past, most recent past, have had trouble running the football. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Now, what I've seen so far is I've seen a mixture of all that. I've seen 11, which is 1 tight end. I've seen 12, 2 tight ends, 13, 3 tight ends. I've seen all of that in the OTAs. Okay, I've seen them use that. I've also said, and I will tell this, you know, to Mayer's, to give him credit, I watched him in Notre Dame his last 2 years. He developed his blocking skills. Now, I don't know what's going on with him off the field. Happened last year. I'm hoping that he's beyond it. I do think he's a capable talent. And I do think to some degree he's probably slightly overlooked because of the tremendous season that Brock Bowers had last year. But I also think the Raiders are going to give him a chance.
Good.
Give him a chance to prove himself. He is a capable blocking tight end. He has shown me that. I've seen that last year when he played. I've seen it so far. But again, we haven't been in pads and we're still starting out slow. So I've seen that sort of nucleus, that gel. It's coming for him. He's getting it. Brock Bowers is a threat no matter where he goes. There are going to be defenses that are going to pay attention to him. You can use him as a decoy if so fit. Then I think Chip Kelly will do that at times. But there's only one football. Mm-hmm. So when you whether you're crying for a 9 ball or you're crying for Brock Bowers to get the football or Ashton Genty, whomever you are, there's only one football. We only have one football here. So, you know, we have to figure out a way to spread that around. The weapons that the Raiders have are at their disposal are pretty important and impressive. How does the offensive line translate into giving them time to do whatever they want to do or give them that ability? That has yet to be seen.
Okay. And again, I'm one of these people that is just so I'm impatient. I'm patiently impatient or impatiently patient. However,
you're not the only one. You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
Because again, I want to see something.
Yeah.
Before they put my ass in the ground.
Right.
Okay. And I know it's coming. I know that Father Time always wins. You know, that's one out you're not going to ever win against. It is the Reaper. But I in my estimation, I'd like to see to go beyond the 3 Super Bowls. I mean, right now the friggin' Chiefs have 4, and they had 1 for 50 years, and that technically 50 something years. Then they had 2, then they had 3, and then they had 4. And thank God they don't have 5. I say, praise God, Allah, Yahweh, whatever you call the Almighty person, that the NFL in the infinite wisdom saw, here's my little soapbox, saw the bullshit of the easy plays and all of the easy things that Kansas City was getting away with last year. And I think that the NFL got enough of an earful that they actually probably said, okay, we're not going to have a Super Bowl that is so obvious that's just me.
Are you sure there were a couple questionable calls? I said that they might be giving them, trying to give it to them.
Well, ultimately, though, if you go back to the Super Bowl, because this was a redo of the Super Bowl from a couple of years ago.
Yes, I know.
And let me say it correctly. The Eagles, because I'm from Philly, the Eagles were kicking their ass the first Super Bowl.
Right.
And it was only the very last portion of that Super Bowl when the questionable calls came in and Kansas City got that Super Bowl given to them.
I got it. I got what you're saying.
So this time, the Eagles put the pedal to the metal, the gas in there, and they didn't let the foot off the gas.
Right.
And in Lincoln, I have no problem saying this. I was crying, literally crying. It's 21-0, and I'm crying with happiness, but also with the anticipation. It's like, don't, and I'm watching, don't F up now.
I know what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
And I was so happy. When it should have been a friggin' shutout, but that's beyond me. But how, knowing what you have to do for being in production meetings and all the things that you have to do it with your involvement with the Raiders. And you have buddies that are in Kansas City and in Denver and in Los Angeles. What do you know about how you can project the AFC West? Again, it's not even mid-July. So again,
I'm like, where are you putting me, Cap? What are you taking me?
But I'm just saying, it's like, what do you foresee in your gut? How? Because I've said the Raiders are a minimum 7-8 win team this year. Because again, I like to be realistic. You know, we're not going 17-0, folks. Okay, that's not happening. But I think that we can double the amount of wins we had last year. That's successful. We had 4 wins last year. We could double that. Yeah. And that's a very successful year. I think that we can get to 7 or 8 if things play out and we get a couple good things go our way. We can maybe make 9 or 10, and that's maybe top ceiling this year because this is the gel season in my estimation. This is the gel. Get all the old stuff out, gel in new with the offense under Chip Kelly, with Pete Carroll at the helm, with a defense under, Patrick Graham, which I'm glad he was still there, because the guys wanted to keep him there. But with the turmoil and the I was going to say the over with people moving out on defense, that's going to be a big question as well. We'll see the issue on the defensive side, because I know you're an off guy like me. With the guys that we lost on defense, I know it's long-winded.
Cap,
okay. You got it.
You got my mind thinking of too many plays. All right. Here's the thing. I'm if you know me, I'm clear.
You're real.
Straight to the bone.
Yes, sir.
Can't afford to. Once upon a time, I used to walk into the season and say, you know what? With the Chargers is 50-50. For the, prior to last year, the earlier 3 years, the Raiders controlled the Broncos. But I kept saying in my mind, look, the Broncos are going to eventually figure it out. You have the Chiefs. The Raiders haven't beaten the Chiefs since they've been in Vegas and in Legion. You know what I mean? So the Chiefs had controlled this division over the last decade. Just cut and dry. That's one team you're looking up at. Last year, they took a back seat to all the teams in the division. They're at the bottom of the division looking up. So they can't look past anybody. They don't have that luxury. I do think they're going to be more competitive this year. Now, until something happens, until somebody dethrones the king, unfortunately, it hurts me and it hurts my gut every time to say it. The Chiefs are the king. Until somebody takes them down consistently. We haven't seen anyone in this division do that. So until that happens, they're at the top looking down. We're at the bottom looking up. Cap, I'm here to tell you, the Broncos have a good damn defense. The Chargers have a good defense. Offense may be a little question mark, but the defense is good. The Broncos offense is coming into their own under Sean Payton. Bo Nix was a big pickup for him. I expect him to have slightly of a sophomore slump, but it's still there for the taking. So the Raiders can't afford to look past anyone. And you and I both know, because you've been all over this country watching Raider games, nobody likes us. Whether they're in the AFC or the NFC, everyone hates us. So we've got a huge-ass target on our back, being Raiders. So no one's going to take it easy for us. Conversely, on top of that, I should say, we've seen the Raiders in the past just totally play up or down to the level of the team they're playing up to against.
Infuriating.
Okay. So when you talk about trying to, project or predict how many wins and losses where the Raiders are going to be, I expect them to be better last year because, look, it was an absolute abomination when I was calling games last year. I'm putting my head down. I couldn't watch sometime. You get a first down on a goal line, a 3-yard line, you can't score. You're going to shotgun? What? That's not Raider football. That's not even football to me. But anyways, that's another topic for another day. So I expect the Raiders to be better. I kind of positioned them when I did the schedule game. We did it this morning on another medium than the podcast we're doing, the Raider locker room. And I think I had them down at 9 wins, which is right around where I kind of project them to be. Much to your point, like 7 to 8 wins, maybe special teams are another intangible gives them that pass. It's hard for me to see that. Not only schedule Lamar Jackson last year, then next week lost to a geriatric quarterback when the Carolina Panthers came to town in home opener. So, so that is what it is. So that's the answer to your first question. Now, your next question. Remind me where you were going.
I don't even remember, Link, but you know that
Right.
you were, because again, just like people were saying, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I want to. There's so many, because I enjoy talking with you, and like I said, I'm real, you're real,
right,
and we're having fun talking about, or I'm definitely amused talking about our team. But I know the defense. Thank you. I knew I'd get back on track with the people that left, and we had a outflux of people like Spillane leaving, Merrick leaving,
Nate Hobbs.
Yeah, Hobbs left. The Caleb Chason got a better payday. Where do you foresee the people that we have that have been brought in? How much of a possible, and you can be honest, how much of a possible learning curve is that going to be, where maybe it's going to affect Graham's defense early on? I think we'll be okay by the end of the year. Yeah. But how much of a learning curve do you think it might affect us early on in the games?
Your learning curve is really going to happen in the secondary. The thing is with Christian Wilkins' health or availability still being up in the air, I think there's some area of concern for the defensive line. You have to have what I call block eaters, the interior part. And so I was glad to see Adams came back and stuff like that. But the thing is that my biggest question mark for the defense is the secondary, because it's really young. It's really raw. They have a chance to be good, but it's really raw, and they're going to be tested. And the thing about this is that other than Bo Nix in Denver, you have experienced, capable quarterbacks in this division. They're going to test that secondary. Okay. In the past, Patrick Graham has had to take away from coverage in order to help stop the run, which has opened up opportunities on the backside, and they just haven't had it. The biggest, to me, and I think Hugh Myers has always talked about it, and it's a great point. One of the biggest things that the Raiders are lacking defensively is the number of takeaways. This team does not take the ball away a lot, which makes it really hard, which means they're playing a lot of football out there. So that's where we go back to the issue of depth, much like the offensive line. That's where the issue of depth comes in the defensive, especially in the secondary. Now, the secondary is probably going to have to play a little bit more zone from what I've seen so far. Again, it's early. There's a lot of unanswered questions I can't answer because I have to see how it puts together. I know Patrick Graham will come up with schemes for things, but can these young guys who really haven't been tested, there's some guys out there who haven't really been tested, can they stand up to the challenge and come out and play? So I believe the identity of this team is defense. And thank goodness we got Max Crosby, but we have the development of Tyree Wilson, and you got Malcolm Kuntz coming off of a knee injury. Hopefully he's healthy. You got to find a way to get those ends freed up, not being double teamed all the time. And if they are double teamed by backs or tight ends or receivers, that takes one less person out of the route running. That gives the advantage to the secondary to be able to play a more effective zone. But there's going to be a big issue for me to see how they play this zone, especially with their linebackers, because they're coming from a different place. They got to gel. They got to find that cohesiveness, much like the offensive line. The secondary has to play together. And when you're playing zone, the entire secondary has to be on the same page. Can't have one guy playing man and the other guy's playing zone, or having rifts or holes in the bubble. So there are questions there, Captain. But I do believe the identity of this team is the defense. I think they'll be strong. I'm worried about the depth on the defensive line as well. But more importantly, the untested secondary is one of my biggest concerns.
Okay. I'm going to throw this one at you because I saw it on it. And folks, I apologize. I'm trying to suck in on what Lincoln is saying. So there's a lot of questions that are going by, but I do like this one. And it's from Jack Kenna, one of my running mates here on the channel as well. Who is your favorite O-line running mate, and who is the hardest to stop on the opposite side for people that you played against in your career? So your closest shipmate on the offensive line while you were playing, and then the guy and on the opposite side that you would hardest to stop, or maybe even hated to play against?
Well, it wasn't about hating to play against. I mean, you had to do your job, and look, I was one of those guys of unsung glory, so I was ready to go out there and face the challenge. But my closest teammate that I played with, and may he rest in heaven, was Mo Collins, number 79. He was my guard when we went to the Super Bowl. I was also there when the Raiders drafted him out of Florida, and we became close from that point. And even to this day, our family, our kids are still close. So may he rest in heaven. He was my closest friend. He was my best friend on the team, and we lost him far too soon. But the most difficult person I ever had to play against was the Minister of Defense, Reggie White, hands down. And Reggie, and may he also rest in heaven. Reggie was a guy who had a unique complement of power and speed, and he was so hard to read. Captain, I prized myself the fact that I could read a defensive line and know what the defensive lineman or defensive end was doing before he started it. Off a hand, foot, watching film, studying them. I could read that. When I got really good at that, the game really slowed down for me. It was like, oh, you're coming with that. I got this, and I could hold my own. But Reggie, you could not get a feel because everything looked a certain way, but you knew what he was capable of, which always played in your mind. Oh, is this the hump? Or is he going to try to run inside? Or is he going to try to run around? Oh, he's got the. So he was the most difficult player I had to face in my career.
And I would say, did you face him more often as a Falcon than you did as a Raider? I would think so.
Yeah, well, I saw him one time as a Falcon, and then Carolina, and I don't think I played against him. He was in Green Bay. Maybe I want to say 2 times as a Raider, just 1 time as a Falcon. I was only there for a short while. And
Okay.
he had already moved on to Green Bay when I was a Falcon. And I think that was the one time that I played him. And then I think the other times when he's with Carolina towards the end of his career.
Okay. Because I was thinking, NFC matchups more.
Right.
You would see them.
Yeah.
But, okay. I would also say, were you on the field at the time? And I hate bringing it because I've got the stories from hell. It was in Denver. And I think it was the game that took us out where we had to play because we lost the game in Denver. I was actually deployed at the time. Okay. And Big Frank Middleton got called breathing. He got called for a movement, illegal procedure for breathing. Okay. And I remember it was in Denver. It was that game, losing that game cost us to go to New England in the Tuck F game. And I'm keeping my
well, I don't want to overstep your question, but I'm just going to correct you. What caused us to lose that game? Well, I mean, we did lose that. Yes, and I was on the field during that game. But ultimately what happened was, in my opinion, the unfortunate of 9/11 canceled the game we were supposed to have that week at home against the Jets.
Yeah.
We moved that game to the end of the season. So we came to the end of the season. The Jets came into Oakland, and they beat us in the last game of the year, regular season. We turned around the following week and played them. We won our division, but we turned around the following week and played them, beat them. That's what made us have to go to New England.
Okay. Well, I meant, and you are correct.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, because we lost the game in Denver, the way that it stacked up for the playoff scheme,
right. To that point, yeah, I get you.
We had to go to New England because of a lesser conference schedule,
right?
Which made us go. But I was going to say, was there? And again, I'm going to go right in officiating. I'm trying to keep it short. I apologize. What were the weirdest penalties that you were personally thinking of when you've been in games that were so blatantly BS? Anything you can think of that you can enlighten the crowd with? I don't think I've asked you this before.
I mean, since you reminded of the Tuck rule, there's nothing more egregious than that. That call was absolutely insane. Now, I pride myself the fact that I was probably one of the least penalized offensive linemen in my day. I didn't get called for a lot of stuff. And that was also because by design. I purposely went out. I knew every referee and umpire by first name, and I would talk to them before the game. And one of the things I said to these guys was that, hey, if I do anything wrong, just let me know. I don't want to create infractions. I don't want to slow down the game. I want you guys to be able to do your job. There were more times I got tons of warnings. Link, watch your hands. Don't do that, Link. Okay, that's borderline holding. We're going to have to call it next time. So I pride myself in having that relationship with the referees and umpires. So I didn't see – I mean, look, it was us against the world, and it still is. And we always felt that way. And that's why the year after the Tuck Rule game, we came back. We decided we're going to kick everybody's ass, so you can't call anything, and we beat everybody down. That was our motivation. After seeing us being robbed in the Tuck Rule game and everything, all the changes that happened, we came back the following year. We said we're going to beat everybody down. Now you can't slow down the game in their favor for us because it's just the one-sided. So that was how that turned about. But there were plenty of calls, but nothing is more egregious during my time of playing than the Tuck Rule. And then, of course, after that, I was laughing at the New Orleans Saints when they in that playoff game and they got robbed from pass interference, and they were talking about how they didn't get a call going their way. And I was like, oh, see how it feels?
Yeah. Welcome to our world. Welcome to our world. I think I can honestly say I've only seen the Tuck game twice in my lifetime. I saw it while it was live. I was deployed on the Teddy Roosevelt at the time. And I was watching it on Arabic TV with commentators that were overdubbing. I guess it was like Greg Gumbel and Sims were doing the actual broadcast, but the Arabic broadcasters were overriding them. So I was hearing both, right? So I saw it live, and I knew that we were going to get screwed. And maybe you remember this. When in the first quarter, Tim Brown has a first down, at least a yard or two beyond the stick.
Mm-hmm.
And the officials marked it a yard or two short the other way. So I knew we were going to get screwed on that game just from that call. The second time that I saw the Tuck game was during COVID when I was on because I refused to watch, replays or anything like that. But during COVID, the NFL Network had it on the screen. And I noticed that the New England put the 3 points on the board before they kicked the field goal. Did you see that too? Or did you guys notice that as well?
No, didn't notice it. It was just at the time, and I don't think I've ever watched a rebroadcast of the game. I don't think I've ever seen a rebroadcast. I don't need to relive the nightmare that it was. But at the time, I was just stunned because the best way that I can describe filling captain, it was just completely deflated when Tuck said, we're not going to see the ball again. Now, this is the old overtime rules. First one to score to win, sudden death. So we're not going to see the ball again. And that's exactly what happened. They marched down the field, kicked the field goal, kickoff, couldn't stop them. And there was no energy on the Raiders sideline at that time. Guys were just going through the motions. That's what I felt. I mean, that's how I felt. And there's nothing that I could do about it. I'm an offensive line. We don't touch the ball. We don't get another chance. And we blew our opportunities because we were the better team. We should have won. But as history has it, that's what happened.
And the fact, what are any sort of talking that you have with a certain ex-Patriots quarterback when you see him over there in Vegas?
He knows it's a fumble. He's already admitted it's a fumble. Every time I see him, we talk. So it was a fumble. He knew it was a fumble. He admitted it was a fumble. There's nothing there.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier now that because he admitted it when him and Seawood had that show.
Yeah, and he did before that. So
yeah, it's aggravating. So just something for me. I wanted to ask one other things, couple things. Your memories of, because you were talking about your interaction with the officials. What were your favorite officials that you played with during that time?
Oh gosh, Cap, oh man, you're killing me.
Hey, I gotta think of new things for you, sir. So
Oh, you want by names? Oh my gosh! I know faces. I can't remember names. We're talking almost 30 years ago, Cap.
hey, okay.
I'm an offensive lineman. I can barely remember yesterday. And in my job capacity, I got to remember all these new faces, new names. And you're trying to go back 3 decades and ask me?
Okay. Well, then I'll make it easy. I'll make it easy. Which official, and you should probably know him by name on this one, which official was the biggest a-hole that you had the displeasure of playing the game with? Or will that get you in trouble?
No, I don't. Well, I don't think it. I don't think. There's probably a small, very small percentage. I'm trying to go through my mind as I look at the officials from my vantage box in the booth, who might still be out there.
Yeah.
You know, there's not that many. You know what I mean? There's been a turnover in 3 decades. You know what I mean?
Sir.
So it's like, it's kind of hard. Look, I won't say specifically there were some guys that stood out and said, "Oh, he's a jerk" or whatever. I mean, and because this day we've seen the incorporation of women, it's a lot more. There weren't any women refereeing when I was playing, you know what I mean, or side judges or anything like that. So that was a different, a sort of a culture change. So there was no one that stuck out of my mind and say, "Oh man, I'm glad we didn't see him." The referee that called the Tuck Rule game never called it the Raider game while I was still alive, right? So
Yep.
and then eventually retired.
And he never has since either.
There's your biggest culprit. If there was a name out there, it would probably be his, right?
Oh, that's Rod Coleman, by the way.
Yeah.
And actually, Tony Corrente is Mr. Index Card.
Now I remember that game because I was in Oakland. I was on the sidelines at that time.
Uh-huh.
And I was on the Raiders sideline, and I saw Corrente pull out that index card, and I said, "Is he using?" I said, "Oh my gosh!" So that was fun. That was unbelievable comedy. But.
Okay. Places that you were going to be doing things. This is a free shot. Anything that you want to add that you would like to impart upon the fans of football and the Raiders before we get to your current events and what you're doing? I would like to do that with you.
Well, I'll say this. People have come to know me, since I left the game, being in this medium, the broadcast medium, and I'm still going to do that in some capacity, but I'm going to take a slight pivot. I'll announce to the Raider Nation, that's privy here. My thing is this, is that, and people who know me like you, Captain, you're like family. Nation's like a family to me, extended family. I love you through and through, and I would do anything I can, not only for this organization, but for the Raider Nation, the family itself. I'm going to pivot and take a step out of the booth. I won't be doing the game's color radio for the radio this year. Maybe we'll revisit it. I've got some other projects I'm working on the side. My son is playing high school football. I need to be available for him. He wants to go next level. So I've got one more in the household. But one thing that I am truly and always have been passionate about is alumni, the Raiders alumni standard. Last year, we lost a very big part of that alumni family in Morris Bradshaw, who for a long time really helped propel the alumni, the idea of bringing us together, once a Raider, always a Raider, bringing us together, showing that this is a family. Mark Davis and the Davis family have done a great job at extending that invitation. I want to carry that torch to the next level. So I'm going to help with that. I'm also going to be more available to the nation because I think that people need to understand this transition has taken longer than anyone ever expected it to take, but need a calm, rational voice to explain. Let me talk you down off of the ledge. Don't jump just yet. If you're impatient, there's no room for you being a Raider fan. Trust me. I know it's been that long, but they're going to get things right. It's going to, and unfortunately, it's taken longer than it. So with that being said, I'm going to pivot myself out of the booth. I won't be calling the games, as I said, for the radio. I will be involved. I'll be at every game at Allegiant. I'll be at all the home games. You will still see me or hear me on Raider Nation Radio. You see me on various podcasts like this one, doing things with the Raider Nation. So I will be available. But I'm just going to take a little different path for the immediate future with dealing with the organization and circumstances that have taken me off the field. So that's part of my explanation of what's going on with me in the transition now.
Okay. And that's breaking news, folks. That's breaking news, because I hope I didn't goad you into that.
No, it's okay. It's going to come. There's still a lot of things that have to be announced and discovered, and it'll come out. But as I said, the nation is family. So you open up, you extend yourself to family, and I'm doing that. I don't want people to be surprised or being shocked when they don't hear my voice on the radio when I'm calling games and stuff like that. I'm still around. Nothing's happened, and just taking a little bit of a different path for the immediate future.
Well, then that's awesome for me, because again, and for those that don't know, you would see me a lot, actually hating life, walking out of the stadium last year, because I have a very late departure.
Right.
I will be in my power chair or my walker,
right,
or something, because I'm taking those two there. So I look forward to seeing you at Allegiant. And hopefully if you go on any of the road trips, obviously I will be doing a lot of that. So hopefully I'll see you for that. But your immediate, because I know that you were going to be at some events. Actually, the one event that I want to promote is that you're going to be at Ricky's upcoming.
Yes, this Saturday.
And please promote that, sir.
So this Saturday, what's the day? Is it July 12th? I forgot where we're at now. So July 12th at Ricky's, legendary Oakland, in Oakland, San Leandro. I'm going to be at Ricky's Bar and Grill, signing autographs, kissing babies, promoting the great flag that is the Raider Nation flag. And that's just the beginning. For those that don't know, in Henderson, in Vegas, outside of Vegas, a suburb of Vegas, I own a restaurant called Angry Crab Shack, and we're going to be doing some events there to help promote the Nation on Saturday nights and stuff like that. So we're working on some things there. So you'll see me a lot more amongst the community than I have been in past, because in past I've been so focused on work. You know, you know this, Cap. You see me either coming or going. I'm moving, I'm shaking, I'm not staying around. But this time, more in effect to because I want to bring the Raider Nation in as well as the alumni. I want this family to grow and to strengthen itself. It hasn't been the same since Oakland. I get that, but there are ways to make that work. And I know the team needs to do their part. So I'm not putting the carriage in front of the horse. Once the team does their part, they're going to come back. But in the meantime, Raider Nation for life. So I want us to find a way to bring each other, to bring more people together. You know, a lot of the different booster clubs might be strifing every now and then. Try to bring us together, sort of create a pattern of peace to where more people will come and will support what we're trying to do and make this family grow and be stronger together.
And I appreciate that, sir. And I wanted because one thing I didn't get a chance to ask you on pregame was how long you wanted to be on, because I never liked to overstay my welcome.
It's all good. I didn't realize it. Got too comfortable. I know it's been a while.
Yeah, and by the way, folks, Lincoln has been on my show before, and I always loved it. And I always asked you, I said, when you're not busy, I would like for you to be on. But I actually kind of jumped on you on a good time. I said, hey, would you like to be on again? So you've been on at least 3 times that I remember, and I've always enjoyed every one of them.
Pleasure's mine, Cap.
And again, I don't want to overstay. I don't want to wear you out. I don't want you to say, damn it, that guy always asks these questions.
Well, I just want you to pattern into one question, not one question with multiple hyperlinks. So we have to work on that, Cap.
I'm sorry. I actually do better when I had the questions jotted out, but this is all off the cuff, and I apologize. The first couple times I had them like that.
Right.
So yeah, it's because I'm so happy to see you, and I mean this. I'm so happy to see you and talk with you, that it was a mile a minute. And it's because I care about you, and I really enjoy that with you.
Well, you know I love you, Cap. You know I do.
Thank you. And again, we're on an hour. I'm going to let Lincoln go.
Thank you.
and hopefully I won't be getting a text message like, well, with
you know me better. Don't even put it out there. You already know. You know daggone well.
I love you, sir, and I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you. We'll be there for the events, and I'll hit you up when I come into town. And you was the crab was that with the gentleman? Thank you. I was going to say that was
you and just lost his wife, Mary Davis. May she rest in heaven as well.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
So
the Davis family.
Oh, that's horrible. And I found out we lost Raider Mort recently too.
Yes, I just found out about that today. May he rest in heaven. One of the legends. It's being part of a family. It's hard. It's tough, but it's reality. And that's why I'm hoping to keep the passion, keep the fire that's burning within Raider Nation fans worldwide, help perpetuate and keep it going, and, find a way to position peace to where we can live with each other. We can tolerate each other. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes, sir. And again, Lincoln, I'm gonna tune out. We're gonna go to an outro. Don't go away, because I want to thank you again, because I always do that. But I want to thank you for being here, folks.